Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's webinar, Best Practices and Tips for Using Hubdoc. My name is Charlie, and I'm joined today by my colleague Dylan.
Hi, everyone.
And today I'll just be taking a deep dive into the Hubdoc platform and showing you some best practices and tips for actually using Hubdoc. So we'll start off with the organizations page. We'll show you how to add a client account, add any employees you may have. We'll go into the dashboard, show you the automated side with automatic fetching, manual uploads. We'll show you how to publish those documents downstream. We'll show you how to manage the files in your Hubdoc account, and we'll also show you some administrative functions to help manage your different client accounts. So without further ado, let's jump into Hubdoc. If you do have any questions throughout the webinar, you can enter those in the GoToWebinar panel. We will address those in the chat box directly, or if it's a question we feel is relevant to all of our users, we'll actually interrupt the webinar and address it in the webinar itself. Awesome. Okay. So here is the organizations page, and we'll start here because this is the first page you'll be taken to after you log into Hubdoc. At the top here, you'll see your account, the free VIP account that you have for life. And here are all the client accounts that you'll have managerial access to listed below you. So the first thing we can do two main things in this page. So the first being add a client account, and the second being manage users. So to add a client account, it's as simple as clicking the add a client account button. And all you need to do is enter in all these fields. So company name, first name, last name, and the email address of that client you wish to add. And what will happen is they'll actually get an email in their inbox prompting them to set up their account and enter in their password. And then you'll have access to their account. So that's if you want the client to set up their account, but you can also set up the client account on behalf of them, and there's a couple ways we can do this. So the first would be an email alias. So because for each Hubdoc account, it can only have one unique email, we can get around this by using an email alias. So the email that I have currently attached to my administrative VIP account is charlie@hubdoc.com. If I wanted to make an email alias, I just add a plus symbol and then add to the client's name. So say it's ABC Constructions. And so what this will do is this will create a separate email allowing me to set up the account. However, all emails associated with this account will actually be sent to my original email, charlie@hubdoc.com. So it acts as an email forwarding address. And this works with all Gmail accounts and some other email servers. However, I just checked this out. If this doesn't work with your specific email account, you can also get around by using a fake email address. So what you do is just do a fake email address, set up the account, and then you'd actually access the account through your VIP account. And then you can just change the email later on, and Dylan will go into that later on the webinar. So that's adding a client account. If you have any employees at your firm that you wish to help manage these different Hubdoc accounts, simply click Manage Users. You can enter in their email address here, click Add New User, and what will happen when we do this is they'll actually get their own Hubdoc account to play around with. But the real reason we'd add them here is so we can actually allocate them to help manage a certain subset of our client base, or actually grant them access to all of our clients. So simple as clicking the client we want them to get access to, clicking Add Access, sorry about that. And then you can also revoke access if you no longer want them on that client account. And you can also delete the user in general if they no longer work at your firm. So swinging back to the organizations page here, there are a few columns that we can help manage your different accounts. So docs to review, I like to think this as a prioritization tool. So the clients with the most docs to review are going to be the ones you're going to want to clean up first. So this is pretty much indicating all the documents that sit in that client's review tab that are awaiting to be published to one of their downstream integrations, usually their cloud accounting platform. This status column, this will highlight any notifications going on within that specific client account. So there's two main things that could pop up here. So the first would be an orange triangle with an exclamation mark. And that indicates that one of the automated live connections in that account requires the immediate attention of you or your client. So this could be the client had an automated connection and his credentials for that supplier have changed. He would need to go back into his Hubdoc account and change and update those credentials. And so he'd get that orange triangle here to indicate that was the case. And you can also see an orange cloud with an exclamation mark in the middle. And that's signifying that one of the downstream integrations is having trouble connecting with Hubdoc, whether that's Xero or QBO or one of the cloud storage platforms. Lastly, we have the staff column. So similar to the manage users button here, we can actually go into a specific client and add employee access that way. Great. So I'll actually hop into one of my client accounts here, Sunshine Shipping. And when we click here, we'll actually be taken directly to the Hubdoc dashboard. So you'll actually see the same thing your client sees here. It's a collaboration tool. We want it to be as similar as possible. The only difference being is the advisor VIP accounts. On the stack icon on the left here, they'll actually see all their different client accounts listed below them. They can go to their free VIP account here, or they can go press My Hubdoc and be taken back to that organizations page that I just walked you through. So I guess the first thing you want to do when you set up your client's Hubdoc account is actually start pulling in those documents. We can do this two ways. So the first is automatically fetching them through one of our connections, and the second is manually uploading them. So I'll take you through the automated side first, because this is really what makes us different at Hubdoc and where we think will provide you the most time savings and value between you and your client. So what you do is you come in here, click Add Account at the top, and we actually have hundreds of connections worldwide and over 200 connections in the Australian market alone that we can connect to and automatically fetch documents from. So here's actually a list of all of our active live connections in the Australian market. If you don't have this list, we'd be more than happy to send it to you. Please just indicate that in the chat that you don't have this document, and we will send that along to you after the webinar.
So just jumping back, so Charlie did mention that there was that to get back to your client accounts, it's just up here on the stack icon. So we had a question asking, how do I get back to that organizations page? So you do that by clicking on the stack icon and clicking My Hubdoc there. So this is where you can toggle back to the organizations page, or you can toggle into your client account. So great question there. So jumping back to add account and continuing.
Perfect. Thanks for addressing that, Dylan. All right, so as I mentioned, we have hundreds of connections in the Australian market, and these range from banks, credit card companies, telcos, utilities, software vendors, retailers, many more. Again, we can send you that list after this webinar. And all you need to do, or your client would need to do rather, is just come in here, either search for the supplier in the search bar, or pick from one of the popular companies below. So we can use CBA as an example, because I'm sure some of you have clients who bank with CBA. And what your client would do on the first login, just to set up the connection, is come in here, type in his credentials, just as you would on the CBA web portal. Click Add Account. And what we're doing here is we're actually establishing a feed. So similar to that feed that's established for the bank feed in Xero, except we're not pulling in those line-by-line transaction items. We're actually pulling in those historical bank statements. So you can see already in a matter of seconds, we've pulled in the past 12 months of CBA bank statements. And we've actually filed these statements in their appropriate account-based subfolder on the left here automatically. In addition, we're pulling these documents in on a nightly basis. So the same day that that document comes available online, you're going to see it in your client's Hubdoc account that same day. So no longer will you need to wait around for him to actually email you that document or chase him down for him to get you that information. So a common question we get here is, what if my client has a mix of business and personal accounts? Because as I said, on that original fetch, Hubdoc will bring in all the statements that are available on that web portal. So we can get around this. So let's say that this is my business, this is my personal, and I want to stop pulling in my personal accounts. So it's as simple as going into the Accounts button right here, going to the Hide Accounts tab, and then we can see here we have two different Commonwealth Bank accounts. Let's say this is my personal account. All I need to do is go Stop Fetching and click Close. And on a going forward basis, that that Commonwealth personal connection is not going to fetch from that account any longer. However, we still do have those historical documents that have been pulled in. So what we need to do is we'd simply click on the drop-down menu, click Delete Folder, go OK, and all those personal files have now been moved to my trash. And so all we need to do is just empty our trash to take those documents off the Hubdoc servers. Awesome. So that's bank statements, but I did mention we're not just limited to pulling from banks. We also have connections with telcos, utilities, software vendors, retailers, many more. So in the same way we can fetch and file a bank statement, we can fetch and file this Telstra bill. So we fetch this document in, we've automatically filed it, and we've actually automatically pulled this key data from this invoice. So if we open up this edit data bar on the right here, you can see the vendor name, the date, and the total amount of this transaction have all been pulled automatically. And what we can do is we can actually code this as a transaction into Xero or one of our other downstream integrations, but Dylan will go into that process later on in this webinar. So that's the automated side of our platform. As I said, that's really what differentiates us and what we think will save you the most time savings. But we do also have a manual side to our platform because we do know that not all suppliers are going to be online and not all receipts will be available for download. So what you do in that case is you'd click Add Receipt, and there are 3 ways that we can do this. So the first would be to download the free mobile app and snap a photo of a receipt on the go. That'll automatically upload into that Hubdoc account. You can submit an email using your unique Hubdoc intake email address at the bottom here, or you can drag and drop a file or browse for a file on your computer. So just going into this email here, because we do find that a lot of our bookkeepers get documents sent in through an email, they can actually skip their inbox, use this email address, and the files will go directly into that Hubdoc account. When you're first set up with your Hubdoc account, you may have noticed that this email address is going to be a long, messy mix of letters and numbers. We can actually switch this email address to something that's a bit easier to remember. And again, Dylan will show you how to do this later on in the webinar. But I'll actually take you through an example of how to email in a document into your Hubdoc account. So all you need to do is go copy to clipboard to copy this email address. Go into your email, just paste this email address, and actually attach that receipt or invoice that you wish. So here, let's just look for an invoice. Okay, so we have this app or receipt here. One more handy trick that I can show you is if you ever wanted to communicate something about this document that would carry along with the document into Hubdoc, all you need to do is go #note, type in whatever you want to communicate. So let's say Charlie's Apple computer, and then you just end it off with a #note to make sure you're not picking up any email signature or any other messages in that email. Simply click send, and this should arrive in our Hubdoc account. There's the Apple receipt, and you can see that the Charlie's Apple computer note has been attached. So now that we have this document in our document stream in our Hubdoc account, let me take you through the whole document stream and the process that documents will go through when coming into Hubdoc. So the first tab is the All tab, and this will house every document ever pulled into Hubdoc, and it'll be organized by the date it was pulled in. So the most recent documents will be at the top. The next tab we have here is processing, and we can actually see that app receipt that I just emailed in will be in this processing tab, and it will have a blue clock icon next to it. So these are for all the manually uploaded documents. When we email them in, snap a photo or drag and drop them in, they'll actually need to go through our OCR technology to extract the key data, so the vendor name, the date, and the total amount. This process typically takes 12 to 24 hours, but is usually much less. And after we've extracted that key data, this document will go out of the processing tab and into the review tab. But one thing to note is that if you need to get this document processed right away and can't wait that 12 to 24 hours, you can actually go into this edit data bar and manually choose these fields and code in the data yourself. Just something important to note is that when we change these fields, if we even change one of the fields like the vendor name, change to Apple, you can see that it's already moved out of my processing tab and into the review tab. So if you do want to manually code this or add in this data, you just need to ensure that you add in all the data. Awesome. So as I said, the review tab, these are documents that have come into our Hubdoc, they've been processed, and they're ready for our review. They're actually, all the data has been extracted from them, and they just need to be published to one of our downstream integrations. So here's where you'd go in and you'd actually configure your document to be published. Documents in the Fail tab. So documents in the Fail tab could be here for a few reasons. One of them is that our OCR technology had trouble reading a receipt. Maybe the receipt that you took a photo of was all smushed up, or the ink on it was faded, so our OCR technology had trouble reading it. So that could be one reason. And the second reason being one of the documents may have just had some trouble publishing to one of the downstream integrations. Lastly, we have this archive tab here. So documents in here will have a green check mark, and this pretty much just indicates that action on this document has been taken. So that's the document stream in Hubdoc, and that's what we really recommend that you're using day to day to kind of manage your workflow. We do have this folder structure on the left here, and this is what we recommend doing to access older documents, to find those older documents. So with your Hubdoc account, you're actually getting free unlimited cloud storage. So we will automatically pull in these documents and file them accordingly. What you'll see is when you first set up your account, you'll have two main master folders. So you'll have bills and statements, and these will be all the automatically fetched documents. And then you'll have uploads, and these will be all the manually uploaded documents. But as you can see here, you can create other master folders. So we've created office expenses here. I'll take you through another example. So say you wanted to separate all of your telecommunications bills into its own folder. It's as easy as dropping this drop-down menu, going add new folder, typing in telecommunications. And one thing you need to be wary of is when you're creating a new folder, you can't click off it. You need to click enter for it actually to create that folder. And once we've created this folder, we can come in here and we can drag and drop my Telstra files into my telecommunications folder. Additionally, we can rename any of these folders, again, just dropping down that menu, renaming the folder, and we can also delete the folder if we don't need that file anymore. For example, if it's one of those personal accounts that we don't want to be fetching from or filing. So that's the general folder structure at a high level. There are other tools within Hubdoc that we can use to help manage and file our documents. So tags is a great example. So tags would be useful for any documents, if we want to sort any documents not on a supplier level, because as I might have mentioned, all the files on the left here will be sorted on a supplier basis. So tags are useful for sorting documents that are similar in nature but come from different suppliers. So you can add a tag in two main ways. So the first one being just going add new tag, and let's say Charlie's expenses. And so here, again, Charlie's expenses. And we can just come into our all documents here, and we can drag and drop documents into the tag. Additionally, we can actually click into a document and add a tag. So if it's one that's already being created, like Charlie's expenses, it'll pop up there. If it's a new one, we can just create it here. So Dylan's expenses. Awesome. So just a handy trick for sorting your documents. Some people find this very helpful if they're tracking different employees' expenses. I did mention notes. If you're actually emailing a document in, it will come up here. If you want to actually add a note within the Hubdoc platform, that's very easy to do. Just simply click the notes button here, add a note, and click save, and it will be attached. One important thing to note for tags and notes is that they're just an internal tool for Hubdoc. Once you publish these documents to any of your downstream integrations, we're not actually going to carry that with the document. It's just an internal tool for Hubdoc. So So we just got a question here. Can you tag more than one document at a time? And the answer is definitely yes. As you can see here with this Commonwealth Bank statement, I've actually tagged it as Charlie's expenses and Dylan's expenses. So not only will this show up in Dylan's expenses, it'll also show up in Charlie's expenses, and this will still also remain within my Commonwealth Bank folder at the top here. So great question. Thank you for bringing that up. So I will hand this over to my colleague Dylan, and he will walk you through the downstream integrations and other administrative functions in Hubdoc.
Perfect. Thank you, Charlie. So we've gone through the dashboard. We've gone through the basic functionality of Hubdoc, the document stream, the tabs, the folder structure. So let's get into coding and creating transactions in your general ledger. So for this example, we are going to be using Xero, but we do also work with QuickBooks Online. So please feel free to use that. Please know that we do that as well. But we're going to have a look at this Telstra account, for example. So just hang on one moment. We're just experiencing some technical difficulties, so just hold tight for 1 second. Thank you, everyone. I think I'm back with you now. Perfect. Okay, so with this Telstra bill, all you need to do is open the edit data bar, which Charlie showed you a little bit earlier. And let's sort of walk our way through this. So you can see document type up here. Please don't waste your time filling that out. It doesn't currently do anything. It may in the future, but for the moment, just leave it alone and don't waste your time putting that in. The invoice number you can certainly put in. It can be extracted at times, but please know that it doesn't always extract. The fields that always extract are the vendor name, the date, and the total amount. So the invoice number and due date are sometimes extracted, but please know we don't do this on a regular basis. And then coming down here, you can see that there is a tax rate field. So if you currently can't see this in your Hubdoc account, once we've pushed this transaction across to Xero, I'll then show you how to set up the Xero integration to ensure that you can publish tax data. So we have enabled publish tax data. So you can see here, this is my tax rates from my Xero account. But with this Telstra receipt, it does not have 10% GST. It is a mix of taxable and non-taxable line items. So what we're going to do for this one is we're going to use the extracted amount calculator. So we're going to select extracted amount, and then what we're going to do is we're going to type in the amount of GST associated with this invoice. So for this, in this case, as you can see here, it is $13.64. So I'm going to put that in there. I'm then going to go and select my taxable and untaxed portions, being 10% and 0%, and then I'm going to put it to the telephone and internet chart of account. I'm going to generate line items there, and then that's going to bring up this dialog box, which is going to show me the line items that have been automatically created by Hubdoc for me. And then I can go ahead and change the chart of accounts where necessary. Click Save and Close, and then it will be down the bottom here ready for you to publish across to Xero. So going back up, you can see here this page status. What this does is it puts a banner on the document and also on the preview of the document. Again, this is just an internal flag because with publishing across, it's not always clear whether we've published a document across to Xero. You would have to come into the edit data bar and see this tick and the publish sign here in order to confirm that. So a handy tool if you did want to use the paid banner for that, you could click the paid banner when you publish documents across to your accounting platform, and that would put a flag on the document stub here that document had been published across. So not totally intuitive, I know, but we are looking at fixing that, but it is a workflow tool for you that some of our advisors do use. Coming down to the destinations, You'll see here that you can publish as a purchase, spend money, expense, invoice AR, or invoice, accounts receivable, or a credit note. We do focus on the payable side of accounting here at Hubdoc, so purchase and spend money are our bread and butter. We do allow you to publish across as an invoice, which would go across as an invoice as a receivable in Xero. However, it is not our focus, so just be aware of that. You can publish across as draft or authorized, depending on what you currently like to do. Most of our advisors publish across as a draft and then authorize it in Xero. And then coming down, you can see the contact there is Telstra. So all of this information, as well as the tax rates that you do select, can be saved for future reference by clicking the Save Configuration there. And what we'll do is we'll save that on a going forward basis. If you did want to do this for all of the documents in Hubdoc and do it not on a going forward basis, but for all the documents in the review tab, say your clients uploaded a whole heap of receipts from the same vendor and you want to do it for all of them, you can do an account level rule, which I'll show you a little bit later on. Now, these two do work in sync together, so you can use auto sync and save configuration as like a 1-2 punch combo. So what that will do is it will save the configurations, and when we fetch a document or when a document is uploaded and extracted, we'll apply those rules and automatically create that transaction in Xero for you, saving you a ton of time. So going down here, clicking publish, we'll jump across to Xero and see what this looks like. So this one I published across as a draft, and you can see my Telstra invoice there. So clicking on my Telstra invoice, it will bring it up, and you'll see there that taxable and non-taxable line items are created. And obviously, as you would expect, a copy of the source document is attached as well, completely auto-proofing your client as you would expect with any document processing solution. So jumping back into Hubdoc, how do we set Xero up? So that is a very valid question. Let's jump up to accounts here and go to the destinations tab. And you'll see there that accounting integrations are listed with Xero and QBO at the top. So what I've done is I've clicked the connect button. I've then chosen my Sunshine Shipping Xero account, and I have selected publish tax data. So this checkbox here is what I was referring to earlier. So if I take that off, then what will happen is I will no longer be able to see the tax information in my edit data bar on the right hand side. So if that is turned off, please be aware that that will happen. So make sure that that checkbox is selected. Excuse me for that refresh, whatever just happened. Perfect, so coming back in here. So make sure that is selected and you select your default tax rate and your default tax exempt rate there. A common question we do get is, what does push to Xero files mean? A very valid question, and what it is it's the folders in Xero where you can put files without actually having them attached to a transaction. So a workflow that this would be for is for bank statements, for example. So we fetch bank statements for you for reconciliation purposes and for audit proofing your clients. We do store them in Hubdoc for you, but if you wanted your general ledger to be the source of truth and contain all the documents you had, then what you would do is you would push the bank statements across to Xero files, because what it will do is it'll push the document across without actually creating a transaction. So to see where this is, I'll just jump back into my document stream here, and I will show you what that looks like. So coming back in here, so you can see Xero here. This is the normal Xero. This is where we do create transactions for you. And then coming down here, you'll see that Xero files. So there's Xero up here, Xero files down here. So this is where you would publish the document across if you didn't want it to create a transaction. So for a bank statement, for example, that's where you'd publish the document across. And then going across in Xero, this is the folder here. This is where Xero files are all stored. So you can see there's Xero files. That is where you would find them. So back into Hubdoc, We do also connect with other downstream integrations, so cloud storage platforms, for example, like Box, Dropbox, and Google Drive, as well as SmartVault and ShareFile. When you do connect to these, we create a folder for you. You can select where you want the folder to go. So you can see here mine is in Dylan's Docs, Bookkeeping, and Hubdoc is where the folder is located. So the process we use, like the naming convention, would be the folder name / and then the next folder name until you get to where you want the document to be the folders to be located. And then the last one, so you can see that Hubdoc is the last destination. So that's the main folder, and within that is my folder structure that I have in Hubdoc, because that's what I've selected here by copy your folder structure from Hubdoc. We also have the ability to send documents to an email address. So if you did want to forward documents from Hubdoc to an email address, then you can put the email address in here. So that is a workflow tool. If you did want to auto forward, so you mentioned that Charlie mentioned that you can send emails into the unique intake email address, and you could set up auto forwarding rules there so that it does skip your inbox completely. You could certainly do that. You could certainly do that, but that would be something that you would do in your actual email platform. So if you're using Outlook or you're using Gmail, that's where you would set up the email forwarding rules to send documents into Hubdoc. But to get documents out of Hubdoc, that's where you would use this email forwarding tool. So easy to get confused there, but that is where you would do that. Okay, so that is the fun stuff all done. Let's go through the administration and your account settings and things like that. So all the boring stuff that you're going to love me for. So the first one is Profile tab. So clicking on Accounts, going to the Profile tab. This is where your basic information would be. So if you did set up an account using a fake email address or an email alias, and you did want to change that to your client's email address, that's where you would do that in here. And then you would just put their email in and confirm it here. Now, a common question we get is my invoices are being pulled out as month, day, year, which is the North American convention for a date. So this one here. Now, we do apologize for that. We are a Canadian-based company, so they think that this is the right way to write a date. Here in Australia, we obviously think differently. So day, month, year would be the way to go, and you can change that here in the Profile tab. If you want to change your password, you can do that here as well. And then the unique intake email address, as Charlie mentioned, sometimes it comes up a little bit unique in terms of it's not very intuitive. You can change that here by clicking edit and then inputting the prefix there. So what that is it's going to be the prefix before the @ sign. So all of our intake email addresses do end in @app.hubdoc.com. Please remember the @app, because otherwise it will be sent to our generic support email, and we'll be sending you an email back saying, whoops, did you mean to send this to your unique intake email address? And you would need to resend that in, so just remember that. But that is where you would change that email address there. So currently the rules around a document that's emailed in is we'll check for an attachment, and if there is an attachment to the email address, then that's what we're going to consider is the invoice. Now, if you would like us to also do the body of the email every single time, whether there's an attachment or not, you can click this button here and we will create a document from both the body of the email address as well as the attachments. Now, if there's no attachments, then what we would do is we would create an invoice from the body of the email. So just to reiterate that, if it was a bit confusing, our rules are if there is no PDF attached, what we'll do by default is we'll extract the body of the email. If there is an attachment, what we'll do is we'll use the attachment as the invoice. And if you select this, we'll do both the PDF attachment as well as the body of the email every time. So data extraction. If you do want to upload documents and not have us extract the information, again, not very often that this is the case, but if you say exceeded the 300 document per day limit, which we currently have, so it's 300 documents per client account per 24-hour window of time. If that was exceeded, you can still upload them into Hubdoc by toggling this off. but just remember to put that on again. And remember, if you are uploading documents and they go straight to archived and we're not extracting the information from it, just jump in here into the profile tab and double check that that is the case, that this has been selected. We do integrate with ScanSnap. Again, ScanSnap Cloud is not available in Australia, although we've pleaded with Fujitsu. It is coming, but it's likely to be about May next year. We are working with Fujitsu though on a workaround, and we'll have a video coming out hopefully shortly with regards to this. But what you can do is you can set up ScanSnap Desktop, and then you can send it to an email address, and the email address you would be sending it to would be the unique intake email address associated with your Hubdoc account. Now, with a client account, your clients can invite a user to access their Hubdoc account. Now, the most common use case for this is for a client, if they want to pay for their account and give you as an advisor access to it, what they would do is they would come in here and input your email address in there. Now, what we have noticed is that some people do use this for their employees. Now, this can be possible. However, please be aware that if you do this, and you do give your employees or another director access by adding them as a collaborator, what will happen is a shell account will be created for them. And then what will go on from there is they will have to, if they're using the mobile app, for example, they would have to toggle between the shell account and into the correct Hubdoc account. So what we recommend is if it's a director or someone else that's managing the business, have everyone log in under the same admin login account, because they will all have access to the Hubdoc account. And then if you do need an employee to upload documents, just get them to upload to that unique intake email address. So get them to save that on their smartphone and share files via that way. If you want to delete an account, so say your client wanted to delete an account, for example, they would need to log into their own account and then delete it from there. So hiding accounts, Charlie has run through, but let's go through the Manage Accounts tab. So in the Manage Accounts tab, there's a number of things you can do here. The first one being is setting up account level rules. So as I mentioned, if you do publish on a document basis and click Save Configuration, it means the next time a Telstra invoice is fetched or next time a document does end up in the Review tab, that those rules will be applied. If you've got a whole stack of documents that are already in the Review tab, you can set up an account level rule. You can do that for automated accounts or manual accounts. So let's jump into manual accounts and let's do it for that Apple receipt. So you can see there, if I click on Apple, it's going to take me down and here's my account level rules here. So I can choose the location. So if I want to change the location there, I certainly can. I can select auto pay, so that will put the paid banner on all of my Apple receipts. Email alert. So if you're sick of hearing from us every time a new document is fetched by Hubdoc, just come in here to manage accounts and you can turn off email alerts there. And we'll also send you alerts if a due bill is due. Coming down here, we can configure rules to 0. So this is what I mentioned earlier. We can change the rules here, and this would apply to every document in the Review tab. If it has already been processed and archived, we don't want to change the information that you've published across, so they won't be applied to those documents. But to everything that hasn't been and is sitting in the Review tab, they will get updated here. You can also set up auto sync here as well for 0, as well as your downstream cloud integrations such as Xero files, or for me, I have Dropbox set up as well, so I can auto sync to Dropbox here as well. So that means every time a document's fetched, we'll automatically push it to Xero files or automatically push it to Dropbox. And you can manage your email addresses here as well. Just remember, when you do change these account level rules, come to the bottom and click Save, and that will save those account level settings for you. Now we do the exact same thing for automated accounts. So seeing there, you can change all of the same settings that you just saw with the manual side. You can do that with the automated side as well. Auto archive, just as a quick note, is for bank statements. We will set that as default. So if you do have bank statements fetched, we will auto archive those for you, just because we know that they're not needed to be published across to a downstream accounting platform. But if you did want these to go to a Review tab, so that there's a call to action to check that bank statement, just come in here to that account level setting and toggle that off there. Now, sometimes there are issues with an account and sometimes they just need a refresh. So if there's something going wrong with an automated connection, just come in here and click Update Accounts. And what that'll do is that'll refresh the connection for you and should hopefully resolve the problem. If we are flagging that your credentials do need to be re-entered, you can click on Edit Credentials here, and that will prompt you to re-enter those credentials. So if you do update them, if your client does update them on the CommBank website, for example, or their Westpac account, then they would need to come in here and re-enter those. And they can do that by clicking the Edit Credentials button there. If a connection is no longer needed, you can delete it by clicking Delete Account. But if you've tried update accounts and you've tried edit credentials and it's still not working, report a problem. So click there, and that will send us a note to our support team here. Our team is a rockstar support team here, and we will get back to you within the hour if you submit it between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, Monday to Friday. Again, we do work after hours as well, so we will get back to you, but it just will be a little bit longer than 1 hour. So we'll do it after hours and on weekends. But please report a problem if you can't resolve it by updating accounts or edit credentials, because sometimes things do go wrong and portals change. So let us know by clicking Report a Problem. So that's an overview of Hubdoc. That is the webinar. What I'm going to do now is just pause for a moment and answer any questions that may have come through. Fantastic. We just have one question, and that was, can you deal with multiple line items? So great question, and we certainly can. So what you do is, I'll just jump into this Officeworks receipt here. So you can see here that this Officeworks receipt has multiple line items here. So what we would do is come over to the Edit Data bar, scroll down. When we go to Publish Across to 0, just click on Multiple there. Now, if you do have an inventory item set up, then what we'll do is we'll pull those in and we'll populate the description, the category, the tax rate, etc. associated with that line item. If you don't have inventory item set up, you can move this box around until you can see the document behind it. And then you can just input the description, the chart of account, the tax rate, and the total amount, etc. there. You can add new line items by clicking Add New Line Item here. And then once complete, you can click Save and Close, and that will save all those line items for you and allow you to publish it across to your accounting platform there. So I think that wraps it up for the day. Thank you so much for joining this week's webinar. I do hope you got something out of it and you learned something new today. We do run these every single week, so if you do want a refresher, next Wednesday at 2 p.m. it will be run again, so please feel free to join us. We will be also, if you do have any questions, please report a problem if it is with an automated connection. If it's not, you can submit a ticket in the app by clicking up here and going Submit a Ticket, or you can email us at support@hubdoc.com.au. If you don't want to pick up the phone and listen to our friendly voices, you can do that as well. Our number is 08 7444 5026. So that's 08 7444 5026. So please feel free to give us a call as well. So once again, thanks for joining us. Happy Hubdocking and have a great rest of the week. Cheers.